All right, welcome back to another episode of Within the Glasswood Forest. Got a few good updates. Overall, today we just want to take a bit of a step back. I know a lot of the topics that we talked about thus far have been personal journeys and insights into what we think helps us as parents, as leaders, as entrepreneurs to be better and to be what we believe helps us to be a better example to our children, to our families, to our colleagues. To continue with that trend, today we are going to talk a little bit about patience. Specifically, we'll be discussing a little bit on just this idea of embracing patience and the stillness. We'll dive a little into why patience matters in a fast-paced world like today. Ultimately, we'll also discuss a little bit on the hidden cost of impatience and the impact that has on us as individuals, as families, as leaders, as businesses. I'd also like to discuss a little bit about why I believe every moment really matters and how ensuring mindfulness and stillness benefits us. Briefly, I'd like to discuss a little bit about viewing patience, and I know this might seem like it's already self-explanatory, but explain a little bit on the idea of looking at patience in the long term, what it means to truly examine it, not just in the moment at hand, but how patience affects us in the long run. I'd like to discuss the possibility of cultivating patience, because contrary to popular belief, most people think that it's a gift that you have to have already. A lot of people think that patience is something you're either born with or not, and I like to look at everything through the lens of nature versus nurture to truly understand if it was something that was genetically already there, just ingrained into my DNA, or if it was something that I've learned along the way through life experiences. And I do truly believe that patience is something that every one of us can cultivate, and I'd like to be able to discuss that and how we can infuse that into our into parenting, into our teachings, and furthermore into the business world within our organizations. So a brief update on the business itself. Everything is currently on schedule. We've made a lot of progress on all of the stories that we're working. Like we told you in the past, we've got multiple stories that we're working at the same time, which may be a little different for most people. I feel as if a lot of people like to start on one project and then see that through to the end, which I do believe that is a fantastic way to work. Coming up in the oil and gas industry, I've been forced either organically or through ownership of my own to wear multiple hats and to perform multiple tasks at various times to ensure the success of our organizations. And one of the side effects, if you could say side effects, probably a better word would be a byproduct of having that type of mindset, is that I don't like to just have personally one thing on my plate. I like to feel a specific amount of stress. I feel like and I've said this before in other podcasts, I feel like everyone should have a healthy amount of stress because I do think that little bit of pressure, that little bit of stress and I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh my God, he's advocating for stress, but I do believe that a decent amount of stress will help. It helps us to be able to push forward that ownership, that responsibility. For me personally, it helps to create that drive to keep pushing forward, to be able to handle the next task at hand. And when I have multiple tasks on my plate at one time, I just feel personally more productive, and it gives me a better sense of ownership. And whenever I do complete a task, I feel very successful in it. And I have a weird thing that I like to do. I'm a huge note taker, so if anybody that knows me and that's worked with me in the past, I'd carry around my tablet and I take a lot of notes, writing down tasks, and I'd like to create essentially my own to-do list. And as I'm creating these things, some people have their own little quirks, and mine's a little weird. I can't just erase something off the list. I actually have to highlight it green first, and just highlighting something green just gives me a huge, I don't know if it's a rush of dopamine or whatever it is, but it just gives me this huge sense of fulfillment. I highlight it green and I'm like, yes, that's done. And then I can erase it. But I can't it just doesn't work the same for me if I just erase it. So the same applies if I have like a to-do list inside of an Excel spreadsheet, and a lot of people might be like, hey man, this seems like a lot of extra work, or like you're doing something maybe you don't even have to do, just delete it. But for me, if I create a list, even in Excel, most of the time, I'm going to highlight it green if I don't have a conditional formatting already for when I do say something is completed. It most likely would just automatically turn green for me, but then it'll turn green and then I complete it from my list. And just seeing these things say, hey, I've completed this, let's move on. That's something that I'm geared towards, and I like to have a lot of things on my list to where I can see, hey, here's everything that I'm doing, here's everything that I have to do. And when the list is long, some people, and you know, you can comment on this video wherever you're listening to it at and let me know what you think. But for some people, if they have a long list, they get this sense of dread and they're like, man, this is too many things. I can't juggle all of this. I just need 1 or 2 items. Me personally, I like to see 20 or 30, and I categorize them not just on the size, but basically I like to categorize things by the time it's going to take me to do them. And I like to put a lot of the smaller tasks into one bucket, a lot of the medium-sized tasks into another bucket, and then a third bucket for a lot of my major tasks that are going to be very time-consuming. And essentially, a good thing that I like to do is pull one of the large tasks that's going to be working constantly until it's completed. And then while doing one of the large tasks, every once in a while, I could pull a couple of the small ones. They're very fast and you can knock them out, but then I like to leave the small task there, pending the due date that's needed for these items isn't upcoming, but then continue pressing forward on the large things to continue to make progress. Because I will say this, and maybe this will kind of help tie into today's message a little bit on this idea of patience, but whenever you hyper-focus on the small tasks because they come in really quick, one after another, you can get flooded with emails all day, whether it's, or just text messages for that matter. It could be just having to do something around the house, general chores. And maybe, you know, husbands out there, maybe you have a honey-do list that's a mile long. And if you just focus on the little things, they add up so quickly and they come in so quick every single day. Handling the ones that are ASAP matters, like, hey, this needs to be done today, that's completely understandable. Get it done, move on. But if you only focus on the small things and the mindset is, well, it's little, I can just get it done. Well, it's going to be replaced very quickly soon thereafter with another very small, minute task. And they keep coming in and they keep coming in. And then you find yourself falling into this pretty vicious cycle. And I know that sounds a little aggressive, but it really truly is. You find yourself falling into a vicious cycle where all you're really doing is completing a bunch of little tasks, all the while these very large projects and these very large initiatives, the things that you need to be completing, they're going to consume far more of your time and your resources and your energy. You don't actually get to have time to do them. You never get back to them. So I think if most people, and you know, let me know how you like to do things, if you would put things into buckets, kind of small, medium, large, so to speak, and for every large thing that you complete a couple of small ones and maybe one medium one. And then you continue on with the large one, and then you can go back and complete a couple of the small ones, another medium one, and continue until you finish the large project. You find yourself, at least me personally, I found myself so much more productive, and my time is actually spent far more efficiently and effectively to get all of the tasks handled. And I actually find that it actually works better for me to where a lot of the smaller tasks that I have been completing, I actually wipe them out faster. These little medium-sized tasks that might take, you know, a few hours to a half a day to complete, I get those done reasonably well, and I'm able to manage a lot more of a personal workload to be able to handle all these tasks all at one time. Do I ever feel completely overwhelmed? Absolutely. There's, you know, a lot of what I wanted to talk about today with this idea of patience probably is a direct result of my day-to-day activities and the day-to-day amount of stress and burden that having all of these responsibilities weighed on my shoulders of what it can do to me emotionally, physically, personally, you know, how it can affect my work-life balance for that matter. At times it can be completely overwhelming, and that's a very real issue for certain people, especially if you don't have someone that's in your corner helping to support you and maybe helping to identify whenever you kind of hit your peak. I'm by no means perfect at understanding or essentially diagnosing my level of stress to say, hey, this is too much. I tend to go off the deep end, quite honestly, to where I'll bring on a lot, and even though, like I said, I just described kind of how I do my day-to-day work activities, even in certain situations, it can still feel overwhelming. And even though I think I've got a perfect plan on how to handle all this, it's still really easy to feel overwhelmed and to feel overpressured and to feel that I've overcommitted myself. And that's a very real stress. That's a very real issue that a lot of people deal with every single day. Is, man, I said I was going to be able to do this, this, and this, and I only got to one thing. Or because I got so focused on something new that popped up, I didn't handle anything on my to-do list. But personally, I'm very fortunate to have someone, like I said, that's in my corner. My wife's a huge supporter, and she's irreplaceable. At times I can't clearly see or understand how much is weighing on me, and it's really beneficial for me to have her saying, hey, I noticed, you were pretty quiet today. And it's little things like that where maybe I don't notice that I'm not talking as much because I'm lost in thought. So having her there to say, hey, I noticed, you were kind of distant, or you were a little spaced out this afternoon. Is everything okay? That is so important, and it's so impactful on my personal journey, because I think everyone's on a different spectrum. Everyone has some people can handle far more probably responsibilities and a workload than I can even begin to handle. But nonetheless, I tend to look at everything through a lens of balancing it, whether it's a $20 million decision or a $10 decision. Sometimes, depending on who you are, that stress level is the same. And I know some people listening might be like, oh, that's crazy, that doesn't make any sense. But I've been in very similar situations where some things don't cost nothing. There's no financial incentive or financial cost to that matter to the decision. But nonetheless, that decision still feels equally as weighted to a decision that could cost a lot of money. But we'll circle back to some of that in here in a little bit. Before we get too far into all the details of everything we're going to talk about, let's just take a step back real quick. And I know we started this off talking about a little bit of updates on how everything's going. The book writing. So we've been working on multiple books, and I know that we kind of veered off pretty quickly into the topic, but I tend to ramble on. So hopefully, as time goes on and this podcast continues to grow, I'll begin to sharpen my pencil a little bit and get better about staying on topic. I didn't get to write as many days this week. I know some people have a mindset of every single day they're going to get up and, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon, for the authors that are listening, they're gonna start penciling in and get their writing done. And it's typically, some people have either a set duration of time or a specific word count that they're trying to achieve. I'll be honest with you, I really don't have any type of specific number in my head. I've actually tried doing my writing in multiple different fashions, primarily to keep up with how busy our schedule is. Sometimes in the afternoon, it could be late at night, where I'll have that energy and I'll have some great ideas. I like to sit down and start writing. I'll start writing in the office, and I can crank out a good chunk of a chapter, if not multiple chapters, depending on how much of the story is flowing at that time. Other times, I've tried to do various other things to keep up with, like I said, how busy our schedule is. I can dictate, and I didn't even know that was a thing I could do, but it ended up being something that I kind of find that I'm getting really good at. And for those of you that are listening that don't know what that is, essentially I can turn on the microphone and just record myself talking, and I'll record a lot more because I can talk a lot faster than I can type. I don't know if anybody out there, if you can type faster than you can talk, let me know. But personally, I can definitely talk a whole lot better than I can type out. And because of that, there's so many opportunities where the story juices are flowing and that river's rushing. And if I'm typing, sometimes I'll type out a large section of a chapter, and before I can even get to the end of the paragraph that I'm currently writing, the other 2 or 3 ideas that I had, like, oh, that would be really cool if I did this next, I might forget one of them, unfortunately. And once it's gone, it's gone. There's no getting it back, because I'm already have possibly 2 or 3 different new ideas that are already surging. So when I'm dictating, a lot of times I'll just keep on talking, and as fast as I can get it out, I'll just keep on recording. Now, I have, and I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but I had the thought that what if, because I'm dictating, a lot of times if I'm saying it fast and I get the thoughts out and I'm recording it, what if I did miss something even better because I didn't have quite enough time to truly think out that chapter? So I guess it could be a double-edged sword, and I don't know if it's gonna hurt me now or hurt me later. Hopefully not, because what we're writing we're really proud of, and we're putting a lot of heart and soul into what we're doing. But that said, this week I didn't get to really do as much, so I did a few chapters. So for the book we're writing under our pen name Eden J. Spark, which is The Roaring Adventures. That's not the official name. The official name will be released soon, I promise. And I'm telling you, I'm getting really excited about some of the options that we've been tossing around. But for that one, we're in the home stretch. I mean, that's the 11th hour in this book. Everything is coming to a close, and it's getting really high tense. It's really exciting. I know a lot of people, when they get to that last 10 chapters of a book, everything starts to really amp up, and there's just everything that you've been hoping for comes to fruition. So as much as I've experienced reading books for that matter, and getting to experience that excitement, writing it has just been such a thrill. So it's in the home stretch. We have a really good ending currently planned, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not really married to any of my ideas until they're written down. So I would be curious to know, for other authors out there, how they like to do things. I know that there's a lot of people that like to write everything out in sequential order. So start to finish, they'll have their opening, their middle, their closure, and then they'll go back and they'll start writing their story to fit into these segments, where I kind of find myself, maybe, and I'm not by any means trying to say I'm George R.R. Martin. I've read all of those books, and they're beautifully written. They are very long. I would hope that another one would come out in the future, but I don't know at this point if we're ever going to see that light of day. But that said, I believe his writing style is just to start writing, and it's just, where is it going to go, and let it grow organically. I find myself being in that same style of writing where I just kind of let the juices flow and let it come organically. Sometimes I get an idea and I'll say, hey, that's a really good chapter. Let me pencil that down, and I'll do a recording really quickly, just so I can have the idea for later. And whenever I feel like there's a good opportunity to fit that specific style of chapter into the book, we'll go in and then I'll create a chapter built around that. But for the most part, it's pretty organic. I just let the story take me, so to speak, on the journey that it wants to be told in. And I just breathe life into the story as it grows, and it's been a beautiful experience of being able to do that. So other stories are also coming together really well. We have a lot of beautiful things in the works with these books, and it's really exciting. We have several of our picture books. We're currently working on the art to be able to go along with the stories that have been written. So right now they're just kind of in that next stage of their production. So we can't wait to be able to share them with everyone. And something else that I actually wanted to start bringing to the podcast, we really feel that parents and teachers would be able to find a lot of benefits in it. They can play it to their classrooms, play it before bed. I don't know if we're going to do it in the middle. Most likely what we'll do, because I think that ultimately it would fit better, and we'll talk it over more just to iron out all the details. But I think what would really be nice is at the very end of these videos, we just have a small section where we do a reading session. I don't know quite how we're going to handle it yet. So either the two options that we're toying around with would be to be able to read the picture books that we're writing, and we can present those picture books, and obviously you can go and buy them from our website. We're going to encourage people every time, obviously, to go to our website at glasswoodstoryworks.com and buy the books, but read them along with the videos. I think that every parent and every teacher does things a little different, but when I read someone else's book, I like to be able to give life to that book. Whoever the characters are in that book, I try to have a voice for each one of the characters. And I think that a lot of people are always curious, at least I know that I am. I'm curious to know a lot of times the author that wrote the book, what voice and personality characteristics, what was in their minds when they wrote those characters in, because it's always, sometimes I get stuck in my ways where, especially if I'm listening to like an audio book, if the narrator that's reading the book is really, really good, and they bring so much to the table, so much life to the book. A lot of times that version, that iteration of what you're hearing gets stuck in your head. You assume that that's exactly what the author intended, and that might not be the case. I've heard many stories where the author said, well, technically speaking, my character was supposed to be like this. And I think a really good example of it is if you've ever read or watched the movie, I would encourage you to do both. But there's a fantastic book. It's called Inkheart. You go check it out. You can buy it at any one of the major bookstores online. And you can listen to the Audible. Audible has a really good iteration of it. But listen to Inkheart, where it's a beautiful story about what would happen if reading books, if someone had the ability, for that matter, to read books and bring things from the books into the real world and vice versa. Hearing that, you get to eventually, throughout that story, the author of the book is a part of the story. So you get to hear their side of it and what they were going through when they were writing the stories and what they were thinking about these characters when they were writing the stories. And I thought it was really interesting, while the perspective they had about how the author has so much more knowledge about the character's back life than what was even presented in the book. And the more I write books, the more I think of that, because I'm not going to be able to write the entire life of every character into the book, but what I will do is build this persona in my mind as I'm writing it, who they were, what they were like growing up, what they've experienced in life. Did they have an easy life? Did they experience hardship? All of these things get brought into the story to be able to create something that's truly magnificent, that I believe would be able to give that character a real personality, something that people can connect with and say, hey, character such and such, I don't know what it is about them, but they just feel so real. And I think that if that's how the authors have written them, that's whenever you truly get to be presented with a character that people gravitate towards, people want to hear more of. There's plenty of characters that were going to be written out of either a television show or in a book series where the author didn't even intend for that character to be sticking around for the long haul. Maybe they would have died off by some tragic mishap. However, fans had reached out and expressed so much joy and so much connection with specific characters that authors decided to leave them in and said, okay, if you like this character, I'm going to do what you want and give you a lot more of that character. And I think that's a really awesome experience for people. But that said, what we plan to do is read a lot of those books right here on the podcast. And like I said, we'll do it at the very end, but I'll, myself or whoever else is going to be on this podcast in the future, we'll read these stories, and we just want to be able to share them with the kids. We want to give them so much life and bring so much of that to the audiences that are listening. And I think it's going to be a really great experience for the kids to be able to join in and listen to that section of the podcast. So we'll most likely do that, and maybe even extract that video and just have a separate standalone on our podcast channels and our YouTube channels, just as a read along segment, so that parents can listen in and find the stories that they purchased and that they want to listen to and join along with the read along. But as far as the chapter books, most likely we're going to do something very similar, where maybe every other episode we'll stagger it out. We'll figure out what works best for the road ahead. But we're also thinking about, for our major chapter books that we're writing for Eden J. Spark and any of the other authors that we're going to be signing on, who wants us to be able to share their content, we'll read a chapter or two out of each one, just to be able to share a little bit of that story, whether it's the opening chapter or a chapter throughout the book that we thought was really, really funny or really exciting. We're not going to give any spoilers away, but we are going to share a lot of that content right here on the page for free for people to be able to listen to and to follow along. And if they want to listen to every single episode and be able to hear the book, then by all means join it and follow along to be able to listen to all the books that we're going to be reading on this channel. But we want people to be able to get a really good taste of what's between the covers of these books. And we think that the best way to do that, honestly, is just to read them out loud. I have a lot of voices in my head that whenever I'm reading these books, and I like to bring a lot of life to it, like I said. So hopefully people are going to be laughing with me and not necessarily at me, but if they laugh at me, I've been laughed at before. I'm a big boy and I'll be okay. But I think the kids would like that a lot. I'm by no means the best narrator of these stories, so hopefully people will enjoy them. and I don't, just as much heart as we pour into the writing, we pour into the reading them. And the way I see it, my kids absolutely love it. They beg me every night to be able to read a story to them right before bed. So as much as I like to do that with them, I want to be able to do that with everyone else. So we'll share that on the podcast in the coming episodes for sure. But just like with today's topic, these things take time, and we just have to have patience and take it one step at a time. Why does patience matter? Why does it matter in today's world? We live in a fast-paced world, and contrary to what we're taught, patience should be the thing that we forget about and that we move on from to be able to keep up with everything going on in life. But there's a lot more benefits to having patience than just taking a deep breath, for that matter. There's a virtue to it, and I think that there's a lot of importance to it when you think about the little things in life. And I might have mentioned this before in one of our previous podcasts about the mindset of a moment and what it means to think a certain way about a specific situation. For instance, driving in traffic and you're stuck in line and the traffic's going slow. How do you handle that situation? And can you make the best of that situation? Because if we don't have patience, being stuck in traffic, depending on who you are, if you're anything like myself in certain situations on certain days, being stuck in traffic could be the difference of a successful day and a very, very rough, complicated day. And it sets the tone, especially if it's in the beginning of your morning. It sets the tone for your entire afternoon, for that matter. How much are you going to be able to get done that day because you were so frustrated driving to work? But I think that part of having patience is gaining understanding, specifically having a little bit of empathy in situations that we tend to be very impatient in. When we get stuck in traffic, I think about little things like this, and it really helps me to be able to put things on a level playing field and say, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. Traffic's really congested right now, especially if you live in the Houston area like us. Traffic's just always busy. And for some reason, it's super odd that when you live in an area where traffic is always miserable, how we are so quick to be frustrated about it. It's like getting upset that the sun rose. It's happening no matter what. You can't stop it, or we can't prevent it from happening. And Houston traffic is very organic in nature to where it's busy every day. People are constantly in accidents. People are constantly having some sort of incident that's going to jam up traffic. Road construction seems most of the time to just happen overnight. You show up, and then all of a sudden the road that you were driving down no longer exists. It's been completely torn up, and there's a road crew out there that's going to be working on it for the next 6 months, and now you have to do a detour that puts you on a highway that you've probably never even been down in your entire life, and now it added 30 minutes to your drive. These things happen. Welcome to Texas. That said, in moments that I'm, like I said earlier, you get stuck in traffic, there's an accident on the road, and it's very frustrating. And I do feel that we lose empathy very quickly in life because it's such a fast-paced world. We tend to not think about others, almost never. And I have to constantly remind myself, and I'll be honest with you, it's really easy if I have a passenger. So like if my wife's in the passenger seat and she's talking about, oh, this traffic's horrible, this is really bad. Most of the time it's just me doing that. But in that situation, I like to remind myself, like, hey, this might be not a good situation. You know, this is stressful, but for the person who was in the vehicle accident, it could be a totally different situation for them. Their lives could be catastrophically changed forever. And when I look through it from that perspective, I'm like, wow, I'm upset because I'm sitting down in an air-conditioned vehicle on my way to go do something most of the time pretty fun, and I'm upset about it while I'm passing someone up, and you see an ambulance, you see a fire truck, there's debris in the road. Honestly, it almost makes me feel shameful. I do feel shameful, not almost, like it's very shameful to feel that frustrated about a traffic jam. Those are moments whenever we just need to take a step back and say, hey, this is nothing compared to what that family is experiencing. And we have, the moment we start to gain more empathy over others, I really feel that our level of patience starts to increase, because the next time you're in traffic and maybe the accident is 5 miles down the road. I think if you've ever driven down I-10 going towards Baton Rouge for that matter, you could be getting off of the Atchafalaya Basin Bridge, and if you see tail lights starting there, most likely you're going to be stuck in traffic for 3 hours because it's all the way to the Baton Rouge Bridge. Now, if you've ever driven there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I did it many, many times whenever we were still living in Louisiana. It could be worse because I don't know why we're stuck in traffic, but there's definitely a reason. And if it's an accident, pray for those people, pray for those families, have empathy for them. And I like to think about things through a perspective of, can I change? Can I take the negative energy and to put it into a better use? Because that negative energy does nothing for me. It just creates a pit. And the moment you fall into it, everything for the rest of the day tends to set you off and nothing seems to be able to go accordingly. You feel rushed the rest of your day. And I don't like feeling rushed. I like knowing that I have, like I said earlier, I have a lot on my to-do list, but I don't like feeling rushed in the sense that I don't feel like I have enough time to get the things done that I initially set out to do. And if something does happen, for that matter, that completely changes your day's schedule, just take a step back, reassess what you plan to do, and create a new path forward that is achievable. A lot of things, especially if you're a parent, I mentioned this earlier, there's a hidden cost to being impatient. And not all of the times it's necessarily internal, which there are a lot of studies that suggest the negative impacts on your health in regards to being very impatient and what it can do to your heart, what it can do to your stress levels and how that affects your heart. But it also can affect your sleep patterns. And for parents that already have limited sleep schedules, having too much impatience in your life, too many feelings of being rushed all the time, losing sleep is almost unacceptable for certain people. We can't afford to give up sleep. You know, your kids need you at your fullest. They want you at your fullest. You've got a lot on your plate. You've got responsibilities. You've got deadlines to meet. You've got duties to tend to. You so much going on in your daily life that not getting an adequate amount of sleep, that only just adds to the problems. Personally, I don't sleep 10 hours. I used to feel like I needed a solid 8 to be able to operate, but with such a busy schedule, we tend to get around 5 to 6 hours on average. I feel like we shut it down at a reasonable time, but we get up very early because we have a lot on our plates and we like to get up in the mornings and we like to exercise. And that form of exercise helps me personally because we get up, we go for a good jog in the morning well before the sun comes up. And for the people out there that do this as well, you've tapped into something that it took me a very long time to realize, which is when you have a very stressful, busy life, which is a good thing to have, when you have all these responsibilities, be able to go out and to release some of that stress on a good jog, it just helps me to be able to cope with everything else. How are my stress levels? How is my feeling of impatience? Everything tends to just go back down and just kind of stay regulated throughout the day because I got a lot of that out on the run. Then I don't have to carry it with me the rest of the day. So I would encourage people, we understand the real risk involved with not being active. And part of it is heart health. I think about heart health every single day because a lot of people are thinking about today. Well, I want to be around. Do you want to be that person that hits 100, try to break the record and go to 115 for that matter? I want to be able to live for a really, really long time so that I can enjoy everything that I'm being able to do with my family, and I want to stick around for all of it. I don't want to find myself in my later years wishing that I would have taken care of my health. Things become a lot more complicated later. So I would encourage people to just take a step back and examine their situation. Do they feel constantly stressed out? You have migraines all the time? Are you constantly worried? Are your anxiety levels through the roof? Most likely it's because we're just rushing through the day. We're rushing all the time. And I'm not trying to diagnose anybody, but I would say if you are experiencing those things, take a step back and examine your situation and say, is there something I can do to just slow down, to be a little bit more still, and just recognize that the things that are happening on the grand cosmic level are not nearly as dire need as we make them out to be. I like to categorize things, like I've said before, I like to categorize things not just by, how large they are on what needs to be done, but also in life, put things on a scale and say, is it really that important? Is what I'm doing truly that important that it can make me feel the way that I feel? Because I'm really quick to kind of fall into a dark place, and that's kind of hard to admit, but it is true. It's really easy for me to fall into a dark place because we have so much going on, and it's really hard to say, oh man, and I beat myself up way harder probably than I should, but I own that, and that's something that I personally have to work through. I'd like to be able to say, is what I'm doing, did it justify how bad it made me feel? Because I didn't complete this task, now I'm really beating myself up. And that's not because it's something that I just had this epiphany and say, oh, I've got it all figured out and this is how I learned to be more patient. I have somebody in my corner who's constantly supporting me and looking out for me and saying, hey, I know you had a bad day, but take a deep breath. There's always tomorrow. Try again tomorrow. And I equally try to be that same supportive person to my spouse. And I think that, that's where we really balance each other out and really check each other to make sure that we're where we need to be. Because there's certain situations where I start to feel very stressed out over some of the things that are not as important. I start to get very stressed out over little things, and I make them feel like they're a lot bigger than they really are. And then other times I do the exact opposite. I would be curious to know what other people do, because there are certain times when, I've said this before in other episodes of the podcast, where the things that are really easy in life, they tend to fall on the back burner because we hyper-focused on the issue at hand. And if it's something like a family event or a family outing, we might be, at least I am, very quick to say, hey, can we just push it a day or two and do that later? But other things, there's an absolute no-go. Like, we can't move it, we can't adjust it, we can't move it around our schedule. We have to be able to get it done. And then what we find is family time suffers. That event that you plan to do with your kids, it gets pushed. Maybe it doesn't happen again. And certain things, you don't get those back. I've said this before. Once that moment's gone, it's gone. There'll be others and they will be replaced and you will be able to make up for it. But tomorrow's only going to offer a different set of challenges. And we have to be ready for those new challenges. And what else is going to get pushed? I tend to beat myself up a lot on the little things. And just recently, it was really me wanting to ensure that I was giving my kids the time that they needed. And I will say that is the absolute most important thing that I should be focused on, which is, at the end of the day, after I've given every ounce I could give to all of the things that we're doing for the organization, after I've given all that energy to it, did I take the time to really be present with my kids, to slow down and say, hey, I'm here, Daddy's here, let's read a book, let's read our Bible, and let's just sit down and be together for this small moment. It's only a few minutes of your time. Sometimes just those few minutes, I'm saying because I know how it affects my kids, and my kids are just like everybody else's kids. They're full of energy, full of love, full of compassion, full of desire to want every moment of your time. If you just give them a little bit of your time, it changes their entire perspective. It changes fundamentally who they are and how they act and what they do and how their next day is going to go. I want to constantly inspire my kids to be their best. And to do that, I have to be a great example. I don't want to be the dad who comes home, goes into his office to start the next project, and the door's closed. And that's all they ever see is me walking around with the briefcase from one job to the next job, to the next project, to the next project, on and on and on. And they never get to see happy dad. They never get to see smiling dad. They never get to see dad joking around doing the voices and reading books because we got too busy. There is so much time to be able to handle all of these things. Granted, I know we are only limited to so much time in the day, but if we manage our time correctly and we don't get caught up on the little moments, and I say this because I know that it's really, really hard and it is a challenge to balance these things out correctly, but if we take the time to just lay it all out and say, hey, this didn't go the way I wanted it to, that's okay. Let me figure out how to be okay with that, because that's going to be stage one, is figure out how to absorb and accept what happened. and how it affected the rest of my day, or how something that happened at the end of my day is going to affect the rest of my week. Let's readjust the situation and be able to move on, because ultimately every moment matters. And we have to make the best of our time to be able to do all the things that you want to do. Maybe your schedule isn't as busy as someone else's schedule. And it's really easy to see other people online who appear to have everything figured out. They've got all this beautiful time to be able to spend with their children. I don't want to find myself feeling angry that I'm not being able to do those things as well, because it's a choice. I just have to make that happen. I just have to be able to say, you know what? We're going to do this, and we're going to be able to move this task to here, and let's just organize our schedule to where we have time to do all of these things. But that's just how I am, because I live by a schedule. I like, in the schedule, I make it myself. I make my own deadlines on everything that goes on. We have certain clients that say, hey, we need to have this project completed by this date, proposal submitted by here. So we set those deadlines, and from that deadline, I like to work backwards and say, okay, here's everything that I need to do to get me to Z, and then start working my way backwards, saying, okay, so then I need to set a deadline to get this objective completed, and to get that objective completed, I need to handle a couple of these tasks, and to be able to handle these tasks, I need to have a couple of meetings with such and such, and then I just work it back, populate my calendar accordingly. We lay everything out and say, okay, but by this weekend, everything is open and clear because we handled everything. We know what's needed to get done throughout the week, and now the weekend's clear. Or maybe it's not the weekend that's clear because there's certain things that got to be handled on the weekend, but we figure them out and say, okay, well, let's do it this afternoon during the week, and we'll handle it on this day, and then let's go have fun with the kids on this day. I personally just like to be able to see it all laid out so I can absorb everything that's needed to be done, whereas some people just can wing it. And if you can wing it, then congratulations. I wish I could wing it. I wish that I could not live necessarily by the schedule. But personally, my level of impatience starts to increase. My level of stress starts to increase because I don't have everything laid out. And it only came with seeing other people that I look up to, being able to see them and how they operate, a very ironed out system in place to be able to handle all of their tasks. Whenever I see people that can achieve that, I'm like, okay, if that worked for them, I think I need to do that exact same thing. And I tried this years ago, and it was like a piece it was like the missing puzzle piece where it's like, okay, it fits right into place. I should have been doing this years and years ago. I wasn't a good note taker in school. In college, I definitely was. I had by then had already started doing this. So by the time I went to college, which was later, I didn't go to college right away out of high school, but when I did go back to college, I did take a lot of notes, and I was building a schedule. So really, there was a lot to juggle. Being a father, handling work, going to school, there was a lot of pieces to juggle. And I wasn't just doing like a 9 to 5. I was working 100 plus hours a week, traveling all over the country. I did many of my proctored exams in a Holiday Inn hotel room because we were traveling for projects from state to state. And to be able to manage all of that, it took dedication, and it really truly took me to understand, to have a system in place that helps me manage my time the most effectively. Patience isn't something that you have to be just born with. This is something that you can cultivate. It's something that we all can cultivate. Number one, it's something that you can lose really quickly. And I think understanding that is the key to understanding that it is something that you can cultivate, because just if you can lose it, then you can find it. And I look at that for anything. If you can gain an ability, if you can lose the ability, you can gain the ability. So that said, it's understanding. A lot of people say, I can never do that. I can never, fix these issues. I'm just learning to cope with it. Well, we can, if we just take a little bit of time, which quite honestly, unfortunately, it takes patience to be able to do the first step, but it's to just take a step back and say, what can I do? Chip away at little things. Whenever you're driving through traffic and someone cuts you off, don't take the bait. Just take a step back and say, you know what? It's not even worth my time. Other things that, and especially for parents and teachers who already have a really busy schedule, if you're trying to cultivate patience, I think a really good thing is to set time limits on yourself. And what I mean by that, I don't just freely look at social media all day without limitations. I set my own deadlines within the phone and maybe this sounds crazy to some people, but my limits are really, really small, because it's easy to look at your phone doing anything. You're walking down the hall, pull out your phone and you look at it. You have a moment in between, a phone call. You want to look at your phone. You have a meeting that ends and you're going to walk back to your office. You look at your phone. All of those moments, they add up. And a lot of times we feel very impatient and we feel very rushed in life because we feel like we don't have enough time to handle all of the other tasks. But then if you allow your phone to tell you what your daily screen time is, your average screen time for that matter, at the end of the week, you can open it up and you're like, oh, wow. It says my average screen time this week was 3 hours a day. You looked at your screen for 3, and now if you're looking at your screen because you're handling emails and you're working off of it, that's totally different. But scroll down through those lists and look at how much average screen time you had on some of these apps, whether it's, pick a social media app that you use. If that's that number, that's how much time you could have gave to something else. Or that's how much time you could have just breathed. Take a step back and just breathe in a moment. But instead, we went straight into a high energy, high paced world that doesn't quite honestly always provide very beneficial things for our lives, because a lot of times we end up just getting filled with information that can negatively impact our views on the rest of the day. And it's not to say we shouldn't be exposed. The beautiful thing of having the internet is that it does expose us to things that we would have missed otherwise. So very real issues that are happening around the country, we should all be able to be exposed to that information and understand what's going on around the world. But ultimately, you should manage how much of it you take in and when you do it. If you have a lot going on in your day already, why do we waste time looking at social media? If our day's already busy enough, I barely have time, and I think about this a lot personally, if you don't have a lot of time to relax at the end of the day and eat dinner at the table or in front of the television with your kids, or if you feel like you're rushed and you can't read the story tonight, but you looked at your phone for 3 or 4 hours on social media, there's not a lot of excuses to say you could have done more. We could do a lot more. And again, we all deserve to have our fun and our joy and our entertainment, but me personally, I don't want to give it to that. And I find a lot of entertainment in social media. I'm on several platforms and I have a lot of fun with it. And I have a lot of friends that I like to joke around with. But ultimately, I try to limit that because I have too much going on in life to give all of that free energy, that free time to social media. Because I did find that when I was doing it, personally, I was a lot more stressed than I needed to be because everything else seems so much more strained, and you don't realize why. You never sit back and say, oh, it's because I looked at my phone this long. No, if you're not tracking it, you'll be like, well, I barely looked at my phone today. I just looked for a second, when theoretically that second might have been an hour. You might have stopped for 20 minutes longer than you should have. So when you set limits and a notification pops up and it's like, hey, you got 5 minutes left on your 30-minute timer for today. You're like, what? I've looked at my phone for that long? But when the timer goes off and it says your threshold's been met, leave it alone. Put your phone down. And then all of a sudden you're going to realize when you go to pick up your phone, you're going to realize instinctively when it pops up and says, hey, you've already exceeded your time limit, you're like, dang, I can't believe I'm instinctively grabbing my phone so much. And you realize when you don't look at your phone, how much better your day is going to be. You're going to have so much more free time to be able to handle all of the other tasks that needed to be handled. You're going to feel that when it's time to put the kids down at the end of the day, you're going to feel like you're just ahead of schedule. But at the end of the day, you're going to feel a lot more accomplished. You're going to feel more productive, and it's going to feel so much more rewarding, especially whenever you realize once you start managing your time that you've been giving to social media or to anything that you're doing in life that's absorbing a lot of your time. Once you start to really manage that time more efficiently, life just seems to just really start to coast. It's like a really well-oiled engine. Everything, all the gears are moving exactly how they're supposed to be doing. Everything's humming along, and you just feel so much more productive. At least that's how I am. So I truly try to manage my time as efficiently as I can, and that comes with not giving a lot to social media, number one, and then really scheduling my task according to their to their deadlines, and like I mentioned earlier, putting smaller tasks into buckets and medium tasks into the buckets and larger tasks into their own buckets. Those types of organizations really help me to cope with all of the tasks at hand, and I just feel so much more accomplished. I think we rambled on a good bit today, so hopefully some people find a lot of good value in this. I know that me personally being able to talk about these subjects, it really helps me to understand and to really cultivate my own leadership and responsibility. Because we want to be able to not just say, hey, this is what we think is important, but we want to live these things, and we want to live by the guidance that we're trying to set forth. We think it's important, and we think it's valuable. That said, we're still looking for some authors to close out this year. It's coming quick. It's already November, and I feel like this year just got started and it's already closing. But Glasswood Storyworks, we're looking for a couple of more authors to join our publishing company. So if there's some authors out there who are writing children's picture books, children's chapter books, it doesn't matter the genre. We love it all. We want to publish it all. So whatever you're writing, if you're putting your heart into it and you feel that what you're doing is planting seeds of inspiration, reach out to us. Go to our website, glasswoodstoryworks.com, go to the contacts page, submit your information, share your works with us. We definitely want to review them and to see what you have going on, because we're looking for authors to join the publishing company that are really going to help us drive home what this business is trying to achieve. Like we've said before, we're looking for authors that are like-minded. We're looking for authors that love writing, that want to inspire children to be the best versions of themselves, to laugh and have joy in life. And don't feel pressured if you've only written one book, or if you're curious about writing your first book. We take on authors that are going to write 50 books, and we'll take on authors that are working on their very first book. If what you're writing truly is inspirational and it has heart in it, and we can just sense the soul behind it, that's what we're looking for to be a part of what we're building at Glasswood Storyworks. So I believe last episode I mentioned that we weren't going to be doing this episode in the studio, but I think I accidentally got my timeline mixed up a bit. Like I said, throughout this episode, I do have a very busy schedule. But the next episode, we should be filming it from Arkansas in the mountains. So we're really looking forward to that. We've got a lot of really great locations that we've been scoping out to be able to set up and film at. So we're really excited about that. Glasswood Storyworks, we're interested in fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, action, adventure, mysteries, thrillers. It doesn't matter what the genre is. We love reading all of it. Personally, we will read anything, any style of book. I'm not one that sticks with a specific genre, but at a broad level, we want to have a plethora of different styles of authors showcased on Glasswood Storyworks website. Like I said before, every one of our authors that joins the publishing company, we're going to have a dedicated authors page with all of their listed works, and everything's going to be presented for our readers to be able to browse through and purchase directly from our website. So if you're out there listening and you're unsure or you're curious about what it takes to be published, reach out to us. We have a lot of information we can present you. If you want the support, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you, because it's going to help Glasswood do what it's trying to achieve, which is truly inspire children. We really appreciate everyone that's been listening and letting us know that they've been listening to these podcast episodes. If you made it to the end, go ahead and share this with your friends and family, and tell them about Glasswood Storyworks. Let them know what you liked about this episode. Heck, let me know what you liked about this episode. We want to be able to bring content to homes and to the classrooms that people just want to be able to generally listen to, and that they find is bringing value. So if you found something valuable here, just let us know what it was. We're curious to know. That's the kind of inspiration that we also look for in the things that we're doing in our lives. We just want to ensure that whatever we're offering, it's not just entertaining, but it delivers a purpose. And I feel that that's exactly what Glasswood does. Our mission is to constantly plant wonder, ensure that it's grown through inspiration, that it's created with heart and rooted in imagination. We thank you for listening and look forward to being able to share our adventure in Arkansas, and hopefully the beautiful family memories that we're going to create while we're there, the story ideas that we're going to be able to create while we're there, and hopefully that next episode, I don't quite know when it will be released, but I guarantee you it's going to be fantastic, and we can't wait to be able to share it with you all. So thank you for listening.